Hello friends from the Gang, Tharries here. Now for those of you confused, this is basically just a compilation of all of my leak videos so far. Every single unconfirmed leak, because some of them have been confirmed to be false, but basically all the ones that we don't know about yet are basically being put into one video for your convenience. But before we get into it, if you could just do me a favour, and if this is the first time that you've seen any of these videos, please hit subscribe. I spend so long on these videos, and it would really mean a lot to me if you could. But with that said, let's get into all of the leaks. Hello friends from the Wheelchair Gang, Tharries here, and welcome back to a non-face cam video. I can't exactly remember the last time I did one of these, but I felt like just going over something I saw on Reddit in regards to the plot of Series 13 and the episodes that will be composing it. Now obviously, potential spoilers for Series 13 ahead, but also bear in mind that this is just a rumour and could turn out to be completely false and not be the case at all, but this one seems believable enough to the point where I thought it would be interesting to cover. But before we do, if you could just do me a teeny tiny little favour and click that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 10k by the end of the year, and I honestly believe that with your support, we can make it happen. Thanks so much for listening to this message, and let's get into the Reddit post. The following information pertains to both the structure, characters, and story of Doctor Who Series 13. Spoilers ahead. Doctor Who Series 13 will be composed of 6-hour-long episodes, as well as an 80-minute series premiere and finale. This would fit with the norm of this era. I think 60 minutes is a bit longer than our usual. It's normally about 45 to 50 minutes, but that could be something to do with the fact that we're getting less episodes, so therefore they thought, okay, let's bump up the minutes. That seems believable to me, and obviously the opener and finale being longer, that's kind of par for the course with these Doctor Who series. The series itself will follow more of a classic approach, with extended multi-part stories, as it will compose of 4 two-part stories. The series itself will have a stronger focus on Yaz's evolution as a character, adding in Dan to help act as the audience by learning more about her along with the Doctor. Now, I like this because I think a lot of people were concerned when Dan was announced that, oh, Yaz is going to be overshadowed by Dan, she's not going to get any development, and this, if it's correct, which it may or may not be, would suggest that that isn't going to be the case, which is a good thing. The Doctor herself will continue to deal with the Timeless Child reveal and learn more about the truth of both her past and the mysterious Time Lord division. Now, I'm kind of torn on this, because on the one hand, I really don't like the Timeless Child reveal, but on the other hand, I didn't want them to drop it completely either. I don't want it to become like a Moffat story arc, where they set it up and then it just never gets referenced ever again, because it just feels really jarring. So I'm in two minds about it continuing to focus on the Timeless Child. Plus, there's the fact that, like, the Doctor always seems to come to the same conclusion when talking about the Timeless Child, in that she just goes, oh yeah, I don't know whether I think I know who I am, and then everyone around her goes, yeah you do, and then she goes, okay. But if they're going to do something more interesting with it than that, then I'd be, well, at least somewhat cautiously interested to see where they take it. In terms of the story of Series 13, the two-part opener will feature a story of the Sontarans attempting to infiltrate human conflicts throughout history. So this would tie in not only to the Sontaran filming, but also the sort of soldier filming we saw a while before that, studying their battle tactics and unforgiving ferocity mankind can do to itself. This will be used as a way to show the horrors of war and tyranny to the audience, to further push a more mankind united message. Okay, so I really like the idea of the Sontarans going to different battles in history and basically learning them, kind of like what the War Games did, where it has a bunch of people from different time periods so the villains can learn about systems of conflict. I really like that, that's cool. But making it about how terrible mankind is again, I mean, I get it, we suck. Can we, like, not have an episode with that in, please? We've already had it in, like, the form of Orphan 55, Praxius, and a bunch of other ones, so it'd be really nice to have a story that wasn't about how terrible we were as a species. But moving on. Episode 3 and 4 will continue the Zygon incursion storyline. Now this would fit in with, we've seen the Zygon logo on a box in a bit of filming image, which I didn't cover on this channel, but there you go, I have now. However, it will delve more in depth of how the Sontarans have infiltrated the United Kingdom government and are attempting to put in more conservative fascist regime. Okay. The idea of showing a fascist regime in terms of politics, that makes sense for Doctor Who to do, and aliens infiltrating that makes total perfect sense. But does every episode have to be about, like, you know, terrible? I think, especially with the years we've all just gone through, wouldn't it just be nice if we had some stories that were, like, escapism? I don't know. I'm down with the messages, by the way. I'm down with Doctor Who doing stuff like this, but does it have to be like so often? And especially in the circumstances that we're in now. Plunging the nation in confusion and chaos, allowing more of their species to infiltrate the country. It will be taking a lot of inspiration from Series 1's World War III story, which is fair enough. That one's quite good, and that would also make sense because Chibnall likes to sort of take multiple elements of stories and sort of blend them together. So if this is like Zygon Invasion and World War III snapped together, that makes perfect sense. Episode 5 and 6 will feature the return of the Weeping Angels and will focus on a father who has lost his wife and daughter due to mysterious circumstances. Here, Chibnall will be drawing from his roots in Broadchurch and telling a more murder mystery involving the angels. Okay, that's a good idea. He's doing a murder mystery, which is like what his career is built off in the first place, so that one I have hopes for. However, I was kind of hoping that Maxine Alderton was going to be doing the Weeping Angel story, but I mean, it could still be okay. I mean, at least he's doing something that he knows, so that's something. I'm also going to say I really like the idea of having 2 parts for stories to breathe, because I feel like so often in this era, things are just sort of wrapped up really quickly and you don't really, it just feels very rushed. So I think having an extra episode to sort of make that process feel a bit more like organic and worthwhile, yeah, I'm down with that idea. And then episodes 7 and 8 will feature the mystery of the Time Lord division as we see the Doctor leave Earth for the only time in the series. Most of you already know that I don't like the idea of this series being set solely on Earth, but that's the way it's going. According to this, anyway. Tracing a signal of Time Lord origin to the planet Khan, so we'll at least get to see the Sisterhood of Khan again, and where Rassilon has taken refuge with the Sisterhood after being banished by the Doctor from Gallifrey. Now this is interesting because I predicted the idea of Rassilon coming back way back in my Timeless Child video essay. I'll play an excerpt from that here.
Idea 2. Have the Timeless Child revelations be planted in the Matrix by Rassilon. At the end of Series 9, we saw that Rassilon was banished from Gallifrey by the Doctor. So what if all the things we've been seeing in the Matrix was a lie placed there by Rassilon as an act of revenge against the Doctor, and by extension the rest of Gallifrey? And the Time Lords we see in Series 12 could be followers of Rassilon who resent the fact the Doctor abandoned them without a leader. This would mean that Rassilon could be the big bad of Series 13, and force 13 to be held accountable for her mistakes.
But obviously it's different context, but it's kind of cool that if that is the case, then I kind of predicted that. Be interesting to see if he's played by the guy in Hellbent, or maybe, you know, a new incarnation, or maybe we'll see, I don't know, maybe we'll see an older incarnation. Rassilon will serve as a key role in unraveling further mysteries about the Timeless Child as well as the Division. The Master will also return, but only in a telepathic sense, as a devil on the shoulder to the Doctor. That's believable, seeing as they did sort of set up their little wiggly-woo telepathic stuff in the Timeless Children. That makes sense. Episode 8 will feature the regeneration of the Doctor, as well as Yaz's departure, allowing for the 14th Doctor and Dan to travel the universe for Series 14. More information about the Ruth Doctor will be given, but will still remain a mystery to be explored for Series 14 in 2022, as well as Series 15 and the 60th in 2023. And that wraps up the basically entire plot breakdown of Series 13, according to this Reddit thread anyway. And my thoughts are, yeah, this is kind of what I expected it to be. I won't lie, there is a couple of things that really disappoint me about this. Mainly, one, the fact that we're only getting one off-world story. That's really worrying to me. But also the fact that, like, a lot of the stories are going to be based in, oh, look how terrible humans are. And as I said, given the year we've all just gone through, do we really think that that's the best thing for, like, the country, nay, the world right now, with how terrible everything's been? It may just be nice to have it be a nice bit of escapism. I like political stories. One of my favourite stories is The Happiness Patrol, for crying out loud, but I just don't know whether it's what we need right now, is what I'm trying to get at. And some of you may be saying, well, what about the Autons? Aren't they meant to be in it? Well, apparently, according to someone in this Reddit thread, that had nothing to do with Doctor Who, it was purely a coincidence. So that would give credence to this Reddit leak being true. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think this is accurate? Do you guys think this will happen? Or do you think it's just a bunch of old waffle? Let me know what you guys think. Leave a like if you enjoyed, leave a comment down below, and I will see you later. Hello friends from Wheelchair Gang, Tharries here, and welcome back to another leak video. Now this sort of acts as a part 2 to my previous leak video, following up on basically some of the things that I covered in that last video. If you haven't seen that video, I'd highly suggest watching that one either after or before you watch this one. I'll leave a link in the corner. But before we get into today's leak, if you could just do me a teeny tiny little favour, click that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 10k by the end of the year, and I honestly believe that with your support, we can make it happen. Thanks so much for listening, everything, and let's get into the latest leak. Hi Whovians, hope you're all doing okay during these troublesome times. First time using Reddit, so forgive me if I mess anything up. Okay, so ostensibly, what I'm here to do is clear up some of the misconceptions about them so-called leaks, which are not really true. Sorry that was vague. Allow me to elaborate. Jodie Whittaker's departure as the Doctor is at this point uncertain, but highly likely. She's been offered quite a few things away from the show that could lift her to the kind of position that Doctor Who can't really. Also, she is keen to adhere to the 3-year rule. On the other hand, Chris is trying to woo her to stay on throughout the rest of his tenure. Alas though, writing on the finale has begun, and even Chibnall is expecting a departure. One thing the other poster got right is that Chibnall shall be sticking out through the 60th to Series 15, or whichever comes last. He currently has a contract for 5 seasons of Doctor Who, including Series 11 and 12, with him planning to wrap up all his arcs in Series 15 or the 60th. The BBC are very keen to have Doctor Who broadcast annually, and are putting pressure on Chibnall to release Series 14 by the end of 2022. Now this would make, I think, the quick turnaround between Series 12 and 13 make a bit more sense, because I always found it strange that Series 11 and 12 had a big gap, but Series 12 and 13 didn't. So I'm assuming that the reason there isn't as big of a gap could be down to BBC pressure. This is because they think part of the reason for the drop between Series 11 and 12 was due to the time change, as well as overall weaker promo material. To aid this, the BBC have agreed to continue running shorter 8-episode series until then. Now, this kind of validates a fear that a lot of us had, that, we all sort of accepted that Series 13 was going to be dropped to 8 episodes because of COVID reasons, but we didn't want that to become the new norm, and unfortunately, if this leak is to be believed, which, as I said in the last video, and it very much applies here, it very much could all be complete waffle. I just think they're interesting to talk about. But if this is true, they're continuing the 8-episode format, which I'm not keen on them doing. I was okay with it for a one-off for COVID reasons, but I don't want that to be the new norm going forward, because realistically, they could just keep chipping away at it, which I really don't want them to do. It basically gives them an excuse to lower the episode count. However, the other post is incorrect in the idea that the episodes shall be 60 minutes. The plan is currently, at least, for them to stay 50 minutes, as a lot of episodes overrun when they arrive at post-production though. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw this possibility, even if it's quite unlikely. The whole series consisting of 2-parters is also totally inaccurate. The finale could be seen as a 2-parter depending on your perspective, also depending on how Chibnall writes it. He's on his first draft stage. But the rest of the season will follow the recent trend of single-part episodes. Now that's a shame, because that's kind of something that I was sort of liking about the previous league, was the 2-part thing. Agreeing with the other post, Mandip shall indeed be leaving at the end of the series, along with probably Jodie. As for John Bishop's Dan, it is uncertain in regards to whether or not he will feature in Series 14. However, as we are expecting a new incarnation, Chibnall wants to keep a bit of continuity in his era between Doctors, so he really wants Bishop to carry on. Unfortunately, Bishop might be doing a comedy tour next year, we'll see, but all of this has to be worked out pretty soon as the finale goes into production in about 2 months. Currently, Chibnall is considering actresses for the 14th Doctor. Now notice how it says actresses, so if this is to be believed, we will be getting another female Doctor. The current candidates include several non-white individuals, however none of them have yet been approached to my knowledge, as Jodie's departure is still kind of up in the air. However, he is interested in actresses who will contrast Jodie's joyful energy with something perhaps a little bit more intense. Not like Capaldi, perhaps Pertwee or Eccleston would be a better description of what he wants. Okay, I'm happy about that, but you've already got a great Doctor to fulfill that role in the form of Jo Martin, so why not just cast her? The BBC are currently content with Doctor Who's ratings. However, they hope it can achieve better with the casting of John Bishop. It is currently in good stand at the BBC, so don't expect cancellation. They just know it can do a little bit better than it did during Series 12. They want to approach Series 8 kind of figures, which I think is fair. Compared to recent contemporaries, it's doing pretty well, but I think, the BBC knows that Doctor Who can reach higher heights than it's reaching right now. So it's not in danger, but they just want to push it that little bit further upwards, which I think makes sense. As for the monsters, the Sontarans, the Opener, and the Weeping Angels, as speculated, will definitely be returning. The 2 of them will be taken more back to their roots. The Sontarans are going to be taken much more seriously than they were during the Moffat era, which is something I'm definitely down for, because we haven't had a decent Sontaran story since Sontaran Stratagem and Poison Sky, so that's something I'm definitely down for. The interpretation is meant to be kind of similar to the Time Warrior / the Sontaran experiment. With the Weeping Angels, Chibnall is keen to restore more of the mystery to them, with a presence more akin to Blink than, say, Angels Take Manhattan. which makes sense. Blink is the most successful Weeping Angel story, and if you're gonna take ideas from any of them, you're probably gonna take ideas from that one. However, the Zygons are most certainly not. There will, of course, be new enemies for the Doctor to go up against. Well, that's interesting, because we did in fact see that Zygon logo on the back of a van. So is it just like a Black Archive type thing where it's being cameoed but they're not actually a presence? Catherine Tate won't be returning, as some have speculated. That's pretty much what I expected, to be fair. As soon as they said that she wasn't even in Liverpool, I'm pretty sure that shot that completely down. Nor will Captain Jack or Jack Robertson. However, Chibnall wants the latter two to return at some point, and certainly Barrowman wants to partake in the 60th. Speaking of, the BBC particularly wants David Tennant, surprise surprise, and to a lesser extent Matt Smith, to return in the role in the Multi-Doctor story. Unsure on the others. They might just have cameos, as they aren't as well known, well regarded as Tennant or Smith. I mean, I don't really agree with the sentiment that the other Doctors aren't as well regarded as Tennant or Smith, because obviously Tom Baker's getting on, but he's like the most iconic Doctor ever, and even Doctors like Sylvester McCoy, who may not have been as popular on their debuts, you know, season 24 got trending when that Blu-ray was announced, so I don't think that they're not as well regarded at all, in my opinion, but that's besides the point. And it's kind of sad that the BBC thinks that the only two that are well regarded are Tennant and Smith, although I am glad to hear Smith get a mention, because I've really been worried that it'll just be 10 and 13. Chibnall has a soft spot for Eccleston though, and would love it if he could get him to reprise his role. Sacha Dhawan will, unless something completely changes, be returning in the finale. Chibnall and the BBC are very happy with the performance, and Dhawan enjoys the part, so expect him to continue as the Master throughout the rest of Chibnall's era. Additionally, in the finale, Chibnall is contemplating bringing back Bradley Walsh and Tosin Cole for guest appearances towards the end of the episode, but this is most likely reliant on whether or not Jodie departs. So there you go, there's the follow-up to the previous leaks. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this post. I'm very disappointed that they're not doing two-parters, as that was one of the sort of silver linings of the previous leak, was that, oh, they're going to be spending more time on each individual story by making them two-parters. With that said, however, I think it makes sense that Mandip will be leaving this series. I think that's pretty much a given at this point. Jodie is likely leaving as well, but what's interesting is that we will be getting another female Doctor who is in the style of Pertwee, but it's not Jo Martin. I just find that very strange, because for all intents and purposes, that is what her Doctor is. She is very Pertwee. She's a lot darker to contrast Jodie's more optimistic, bubbly personality, so I don't know why you would do that again if you already had a Doctor that could fill that role. But as I said, let me know what you guys think about these leaks, comment down below your thoughts, and subscribe if you're new. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Hello fans, Relaunched gang, Tharries here, and welcome to the final of this sort of leak saga that I've been doing.
That was designated a lie.
This leak comes from the original poster, and is basically a follow-up from the original posters thing, basically talking about how Rassilon will be in the finale and stuff, whereas the last video I did was from someone else who was trying to debunk some of the other things. So we're getting some conflicting reports, but I just wanted to give you a follow-up talking about the original posters' thoughts on Series 13, basically. But before we do, if you could do me a teeny tiny little favour, click that subscribe button. The support at the moment's been insane. I've gained about 50 subs in like a day, which is mental. So if we keep that going, that'd be great. We're trying to get to 10k by the end of the year, and I honestly believe that with your support, we can make it happen. Thanks so much for listening to this message, and let's get into the final Reddit post. Hey all, I've received a lot of messages asking questions for some of the leaks I posted yesterday, to be fleshed out more. So here's some answers to the more frequently asked questions I have gotten. Please be aware, major, and I mean major spoilers ahead. That goes for all of you watching at home. There are spoilers ahead, and I just want to make clear, as I do with all of these, this could be complete waffle. I just enjoy talking about them. Question, is there going to be an overarching plot throughout the series, or does 7 episodes just lead to the finale? Yes, there will be an overarching story that is reminiscent of the narration from Rassilon in the End of Time Part 1. However, it will be the High Priestess of the Sisterhood of Khan updating an unknown person about what the Doctor is doing. This mysterious figure will be revealed as Rassilon in episode 8. Question, what will be the relationship between Yaz and Dan? Dan will be helping Yaz throughout the series as she tries to grapple with her mental health. Dan is the character who lost her daughter to a mental illness, so we're doing a family member being lost plot again if this leak is true, which I really don't like because it does just sort of sound like a retread of Graham early on in her life, and will be acting as a bit of a surrogate father figure to her. Is Captain Jack going to return for Series 13? Yes and no. While not physically there, he is mentioned in the Zygon 2-part 2-part story. So no, basically, which would comply with the other sort of leak we talked about where he's not coming back, but it does contrast in that the other leak said the Zygons weren't coming back. That's interesting that those two completely contrast each other. Question, why does Series 13 coming out? The plan is to aim for mid-October or early November release, once the announcement of the 14th Doctor is made. Filming will immediately begin to get the next series on track. There are currently no plans for a Christmas or New Year special, given the constraints of COVID and their limitations of episodes. Well, that would mean that we wouldn't get the conclusion of the Dalek trilogy in the Jodie era if this is true, which is interesting because I felt like that would be sort of an annual thing for the Chibnall era, but you know, seems like we're not getting that. Question, is Rassilon the villain of the finale? Again, yes and no. Although it is revealed while the Master was responsible for destroying Gallifrey, he was doing so under the manipulation by Rassilon. That will also help flesh out a more solid truth to the Timeless Child. The main villain of the finale and the series as a whole is the past, and its implications. One thing long-term Doctor Who fans will love is more of a fleshing out of Gallifrey's past between Rassilon, Omega, Tecteun, aka the Other. So they're doing a sort of lung barrow type thing. Question, what else do we learn about the Timeless Child? To take a quote from a pretty important part of Series 13, you are the Timeless Child, but you are not the Doctor. Now this is very interesting because it would imply that in fact, the Doctor is not the Timeless Child, and that was a red herring, so fingers crossed that turns out to be true, because I really don't like the implications of the Doctor being the Timeless Child. Is Donna coming back? No, I think we all knew that at this point. Donna is pretty much a non-entity in Series 13 going on what we know. How does the Doctor regenerate? While it hasn't been filmed yet, the plan is to have more of a classical regeneration with the Doctor passed out on the floor. I'd be totally down for this. I'm a bit sick of the whole putting your hands out and yellow energy, so it'd be nice to see something different. If you all have any more questions, feel free to message me. If I get enough certain questions, I will happy to do another Q&A. So there you go, there is the final part of this Reddit saga. You can watch all of these videos in a brand new playlist that I've created, so you can sort of figure out for yourself which ones you believe, which ones you don't. It's just, I thought I'd cover all of them, because I thought it was important to give you guys all the information that I've seen on Reddit. Again, this is just on Reddit, so it could be completely false, but I just thought it was interesting to talk about regardless. What do you think about these rumours? Let me know in the comments below. Like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you do. Thank you for watching and I'll see you later. Hello fans from Wheelchair Gang, Tharries here and welcome back to another one of these Reddit leak videos. Now I know I said that the last one would in fact be the last one, but this one was just too funny not to cover because this one completely contradicts everything we've talked about in the previous one. And while I wouldn't mind some of the things in this leak being true, they just contrast so heavily with what we know about the series already that I just think it's extremely unlikely. But before we get into this leak, if you could just do me a teeny tiny little favour, click that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 10k by the end of the year, and I honestly believe that with your support, we can make it happen. Thanks so much for the support on the channel recently, it's been insane, and let's get into the Reddit leak. I know you have no reason to believe me over any other leaker, but I have trusted sources close to the production who tell a very different story than what has recently been relayed in this subreddit, and I would just like to clarify a few things. Take it with a grain of salt if you must, but I have complete faith in my sources. Now immediately, as soon as people start saying that they have sources, I already have my suspicions. This is what I know. Contrary to recent reports, Chibnall will in fact be stepping down after Series 13. When this is confirmed, certain folks will no doubt spin it as a firing, but this has always been the plan. But I thought that he had a 5-year plan. Correct me if I'm wrong, but 5 years does not go up to Series 13. But correct me if I'm wrong on that. I mean, I guess technically, if you count the gap years, then maybe, but I just don't think that's right. Chris signed on to tell a specific story across 3 series, and that story will reach its natural conclusion at the end of Series 13. But will it though? Because it feels like he's setting up a lot of stuff that probably won't be able to be wrapped up in 8 episodes. So again, this leak is just giving me all red flags, but let's carry on. I can see how the China deal might have caused some confusion, but Chris signed on for 5 years, not 5 series, with an understanding that he would be able to help the BBC find a suitable successor, and found him he has. Chris officially made the offer to Pete McTeague early last year. Now, I don't mean to be that guy, but this is the sort of thing that, let's just say, the less reliable sources of Doctor Who news have reported on for ages, and has not turned out to be true. This reeks of, oh, Chris is leaving leaving and insert series here. Oh, Chris is leaving and insert series here. Basically a regurgitated rumour that happens basically yearly because people want him to leave. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of him as showrunner, but we can't will it into existence. It'll happen when it happens. The announcement of his appointment is currently due to be made in the spring, around the time of McTeague's new drama, The Pact, airs. See, another reason I don't buy this is that Stephen Moffat was announced to be stepping down in January of 2016, a year before his final series came out. So if this is supposedly Chibnall's final series, surely we would have heard something about his departure in 2020, no? Like his predecessors, the showrunner made it clear to the incumbent Doctor that he would want her to stay on for a series, but like Peter and David, Jodie has decided to leave with her showrunner and give the new production team a clean slate. However, Peter has made it clear that he would like her to return for the 60th anniversary, which he has pitched to the BBC alongside his plans for Series 14, to which Jodie expressed interest in returning should she be available when the special, okay, which I must again stress is still in very early stages of development, finally goes into production. This is a really poorly worded Reddit post. I hear that Pete's plans for the episode are very ambitious, with him planning on making offers to all of the new Who Doctors. Yeah, again, that seems like a fan's best case scenario, although he doubts that all 5 of them will accept. Nevertheless, it has been sold to BBC execs as the 5 Doctors to the Day of the Doctors, the 3 Doctors. I mean, that'd be cool to see in a modern context, but I think that's definitely wishful thinking. Now for some story details on Series 13. The opener is a 2-part story taking place in time frames like Spyfall, with the Sontarans plot spanning across present-day Liverpool and the Crimean War. Now that does fit with things that we've seen, but I guess any guy could sort of put 2 and 2 together, being as we've seen Sontarans in Liverpool and the Crimean War, you can sort of put those 2 together. There are 3 guest writers this series, with Ed Heim, Maxine Alderton and Pete McTeague all contributing scripts. The rest, the 2-part premiere, the 2-part finale and the subsequent festive special, are of course written by Chibnall. Now this would contradict the last rumour that said that there wasn't going to be a festive special due to COVID reasons, so we're getting very contradicting things. The 2-part finale wraps up the Timeless Child arc and sees the departure of Yaz, with Dan staying on an episode longer before exiting with Jodie in the festive special, rather than staying on for the 14th Doctor like the other rumour said. As is the tradition at this point, Chibnall is keen to bring back the first faces this phase saw, in the form of a brief Ryan and Graham cameo as they bid farewell to the Doc, but this all depends on schedule. The series finale is intended to be epic in scope and scale, bringing back the Cybermasters and Sacha Dhawan's Master, as well as Captain Jack and the Fugitive Doctor, in a story that leans heavily on Gallifreyan lore. Rassilon and Tecteun will play into the proceedings as well as the Division, with viewers finally being given answers to many of their burning questions, although anyone who hopes to find out what lies beyond the boundary will end up disappointed. Chibnall has no desire to explain the Doctor's origin, which is fair enough, but then why make an entire arc about the Doctor's origins if you have no interest in exploring them? Like, that makes no sense to me. In fact, the mission statement of his era was to recontextualize the mystery surrounding the Doctor, never to diminish it. I feel like that was the plan around Lungbarrow and stuff like that, but that also sort of failed. This is part of the reason why he was hired in the first place. With all the heavy lore stuff out of the way, the festive special is intended to be more personal and introspective tale. This episode will complete Chibnall's Dalek trilogy, with Jodie coming face to face with Davros, played by Julian Bleach. Parallels will be drawn between the Doctor and her archenemy, both having birthed mighty warrior races from their own cells. Jack Robertson will also return one final time in another antagonistic yet comedic role. Regarding the casting of the 14th Doctor, auditions are quietly underway, with the BBC primarily eyeing BAME actors for the role. They would prefer to cast another woman, but are open to casting a male person of colour. Series 14 is currently set to enter production early next year, with the intention to kick off the series on New Year's Day 2023. A huge marketing push will accompany the launch, with the anniversary being treated as a year-long event as opposed to the one specific day when the aforementioned special airs. The BBC are also seriously considering moving the series back to Saturdays, with the start of the new era, but this is subject to change. So yeah, there is everything I know. Believe it or don't, time will tell. I just don't think this is real. This reeks of, like, wishful thinking on the behalf of some people that aren't that most reliable. Like, the Saturdays thing has been rumoured for ages by people that I just don't believe. And so therefore I have a very hard time believing this one. It just seems like a best case scenario for somebody. But let me know what you guys think, whether you guys think this is accurate or not. Comment down below your thoughts and subscribe if you're new. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Hello friends from Wheelchair Gang, Tharries here, and welcome back to another one of these Reddit leak videos. There are more leaks coming out of Reddit for Doctor Who than a tap right now, and I'm struggling to keep up with them all. But I know you guys enjoy these videos, so I thought I'd keep them going. But before we get into the leak, if you could just do me a teeny tiny little favour, click that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 10k by the end of the year, and I honestly believe that with your support, we can make it happen. But with that said, let's get into the leaks. Hi, I've been seeing a lot of rumours about the future of Doctor Who under Chris Chibnall, and I just wanted to clear them up because a lot of them don't line up with what I've been hearing from a friend who is reasonably high up in production at the BBC. I can't name this person for obvious reasons, so I don't expect people to trust this implicitly, but I just thought I'd share with you what I heard. Be careful, potential massive spoilers ahead. That applies to all of you watching at home, there are potential spoilers ahead, so if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, then click off now. Also bear in mind that these things could be completely false and should not be taken as gospel or fact. I just report on them because I find them interesting. Series 13 airs October 2021, 8 episodes, 650 minutes to 70 minutes. Jodie is obviously on board along with Mandip and John Bishop. Chibnall wants Dan to continue on past Series 13, but John's proposed tour might throw a spanner into that plan. This all complies with some of the previous leaks. Will consist of 3 two-parters and 2 standalone episodes. Opening two-parter will be Sontaran-based, will focus on the rumoured Sontaran warfare, with the Sontarans studying human conflicts for strategies. They come to Liverpool in advance of a Third World War that the Doctor and Yaz have to prevent. Something I thought about when thinking about this rumoured Sontaran story is, aren't the Sontarans meant to be the most advanced fighting species already anyway? So why would they need to take cues from humans? That's just something I thought of just now, and I thought I'd share that with you guys. If you guys have any ideas as to why that could be, let me know in the comments below. With secret nuclear warheads underneath the city, particularly beneath the building site that Dan works on. These warheads were put in place after the Dalek attack in Revolution. Sontarans will be much more menacing and aggressive than the Moffat comedic angle, though there is a sneaky reference to a detective Sontaran who migrated to Earth, so that would be Strax, obviously. Unit are reintroduced in this story. Now that would fit with the Series 4 story that reintroduced the Sontarans, so it seems like New Who likes to use the Sontarans as a new point to reintroduce Unit, which, I mean, fair enough. However, they have more of an antagonistic edge and are heavily implied to be under the control of a Tory government similar to the one we have at the moment. Guessing that will make a lot of the usual suspects very angry. Yeah, I have no doubt. Middle two-parter is a Weeping Angel story. Don't know much about this one, other than it's heavily inspired by Chibnall's work on Broadchurch. That complies with one of the other rumours. It'll be focused on a father, some sort of relative to Dan's, who lost his entire family and has to decipher where they've been sent. Again, this is something that happened in the other rumours, so they're starting to come together, at least somewhat, while avoiding the Angels himself. Haven't heard much about the 2 single-part stories, other than one is a historical story focusing on an inspirational historical figure, and that one is an Earth invasion story of a new monster, the one seen on set in Liverpool. The Earth invasion story will also include Unit again. As far as I know, Kate Stewart and Osgood are in neither of the Unit stories, but Chibnall is planning on picking their stories up again further along the line. Yaz feels an inclination to reform a Unit from the inside and joins them at the end of the series, so she can potentially return in later series as well. The Zygons do not appear in the series, but the filming photos of the Zygon logo is a reference to Unit stories of the Capaldi era. That was what I was speculating it could have been if they weren't in the series. That would make a lot of sense. However, the Zygons are most certainly not. There will, of course, be new enemies for the Doctor to go up against. Well, that's interesting because we did in fact see that Zygon logo on the back of a van. So is it just like a Black Archive type thing where it's being cameoed but they're not actually a presence? The finale is a 2-part story with the second part on a new planet, not Karn as the other rumor suggested, where Rassilon, now played by an older female actress, has been living since the Master's attack on Gallifrey. Sacha Dhawan's Master comes up to the Doctor and, vulnerable and afraid, and asks her to help him track down Rassilon, as he has suspicions that are proven correct at the end of the series, that he is actually the timeless child, and that somehow the memory has been tampered with. The finale is sort of a callback to the 5 Doctors, with the Doctor, the Master, Yaz and Dan battling through a defended planet built by Rassilon to learn the truth. The series ends with the Master killing Rassilon, learning he was the timeless child, and heading to his place of origin to learn the truth. Yaz is shaken up by the whole experience, as mentioned before, leaves to join Unit. Just as she leaves, with or without Dan, yet to be decided, the Doctor starts to regenerate as an effect of one of the defences on Rassilon's planet. For 14, Chibnall is looking for a male person of colour, actor with an alien and potentially more standoffish personality. first choice currently is Patterson Joseph. I don't know who that actor is, but I'll put a picture of them on screen now. Series 14 airs late 2022, 8 episodes again, so they're sticking with the 8 episodes thing, which is what I was afraid of. 14th Doctor, Dan, female companion, or just 14th Doctor and female companion. Story arc will follow the Doctor trying to locate the Master. Finale will be set on a mysterious planet of the origin of the Timeless Child. We'll end with a massive cliffhanger. I've heard this is the Valeyard played by Joe Martin to lead into the 60th. Oh, if they made Joe Martin the Valeyard, I really wouldn't like that. Personally, and I think it would look bad on Chibnall's half to make the first woman of colour to play the Doctor be the Valeyard, be the evil one, essentially. I just don't think that would be a good look, so I hope that's not true. Series 15, late 2023, 4 90-minute long episodes, ending in the 60th special. Chibnall wants a Dalek story, a Cyberman story, a Master story, and then the 60th, conclusion to the Timeless Child epic. Each is going to be a tentpole epic story with the return of a modern Doctor, Tennant, Smith, Capaldi, Whittaker. No mention of Eccleston there. Chibnall is personally very fond of Eccleston, but doesn't expect his involvement at all. This again complies completely with one of the other rumours as well. The idea is to generate an incredible amount of viewers for each feature-like story with very unique tones for each easily sellable. Okay, I really like the idea of an episode focusing on a different Doctor each episode leading up to the 60th. I think that's a really good idea, because that would make the 60th celebrations last all year rather than just that one episode, which I actually think is a really good idea. Chibnall is planning to go out on a high to conclude the Timeless Child storyline and then leave. Current favourites alongside BBC execs to replace him are Gatiss, but these are very, very early days, and they're currently trying to push him and Moffat towards a Series 5 and 6 of Sherlock, so he might not have the time. As always, take this with a pinch of salt, and all of this is subject to change, but these are the facts as I'm aware of them at the moment. I'm gonna be honest, this is the one that seems the most realistic to me. It sort of complies, it's a bit of a combination of a lot of the rumours we've already been hearing. You know, the stuff about Rassilon being in the finale and hiding out on a different planet. Not Khan, but a different planet to be the big villain of the finale. The Master being the Timeless Child, that's something that's been speculated for ages. The only thing I really don't like about this is the fact that Ruth may be the Valeyard, which I'm really not a fan of. But this to me is probably the most realistic rumour. But let me know what you guys think of this rumour. Comment down below your thoughts and subscribe if you're new. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Hello friends, from the Gang Tharries here, and welcome back to another Reddit leak video. I'm sure you're all thinking, wait, how many leaks can Reddit possibly have? But trust me, there are an overabundance of these leaks, and they're really interesting because it's like a little leak war going on in Reddit. It's really interesting. But before we get into today's leak, if you could just do me a teeny tiny little favour, click that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 10k by the end of the year, and I honestly believe that with your support, we can make it happen. But with that said, let's get into today's leak. Hi guys, hope you've all been alright. I imagine these posts are getting kind of frustrating to you all now. I mean, not really, my analytics are loving it. But I don't want to get anyone's hopes up or give people any false information about the incoming series of Doctor Who. And to be helpful, I'm in the middle of one of these so-called leaks. If you're lost and confused, which I get, to be honest, then please check my post history to remind yourself which one I am. The person who posted their rumours most recently is lending you information which frankly is complete codswallop. What a word. Although I imagine they'd say the same thing about mine. Essentially, Chris isn't leaving this year. Okay, so this is in reference to the Chibnall rumour, which I always thought smelled off anyway. Seemed off anyway. There isn't a 3-season contract, it's 5 seasons, and that's always been the plan. That makes sense. The thing about the China deal is that it doesn't have a bearing on that. The reason the 5 years thing has been thrown around so much, I would imagine, is because of the initial plan for Chibnall's run. We wanted him to be able to deliver a series every year, but unfortunately, that's been proving increasingly difficult, especially with COVID. What many people don't realise is how difficult it is to do a series, which often films in completely different areas of the country, with different sets literally every week. A show like, say, Death in Paradise can get away with it, but even that only runs for 8 episodes a year. That's precisely why the BBC have agreed to let Chibnall carry on with a lower episode count through to Series 15. Oh, are we gonna have to get a lower episode count till Series 15? Oh man, it's weird because all the things that I don't want to be happening are all the ones that they seem to agree on, like the lower episode counts is something they all seem to be agreeing on these days. Having noticed the reaction of some fans to my news, I would also like to point out that the reason that the ratings have gone down is not particularly to do with the Timeless Children story arc. It is very easy to use as a kind of point of controversy for fans. However, as the BBC have done the actual audience research, it has been discovered that the people who are indeed bothered by the Timeless Children story arc will most likely continue watching the show. In reality, the viewing figures have not gone down in such a way that is unusual for a current TV show in the current climate. Across the board, BBC viewing figures have decreased, and Doctor Who is still done successfully in the charts for the week. Henceforth, there is no chance of it being cancelled at this time. Nonetheless, as I stated in my prior post, the BBC strongly desire for the figures to go up, and the aim is for Series 8 viewing figures. The same thing that was said in this person's previous leak, which I also covered. I'll leave a little card in the corner. Frankly, a reasonable target. In the current state of modern TV, with the increasing popularity of streaming services, it is almost impossible to attain consistent viewers in the 10 million plus range, as the show occasionally achieved during the Tennant years. The real rationale for why viewers have left is widely regarded as being due to a lack of promotion, and the promotion that there has not been effective as it has been in previous years for the show. In addition, in Series 11, the BBC noted that there should be an increase in monsters to appeal to a more younger demographic who had dropped off in recent years. Indeed, that did improve with Series 12, but the promotional material, particularly for Series Open and Spyfall Part 1, is mostly what damaged the ratings for the season, with many assuming that it was merely a one-off special, and a good amount not even being aware of its broadcast. Yeah, that's something that happened actually. A lot of people thought that Spyfall Part 1 was just a one-off special in the realm of Revolution or Resolution, but in fact, it was the lead-up to an entirely new series. So, the fact that people had that misconception in the first place has kind of shown how poor the marketing's been recently. A sharp contrast to the exceptional performance of Series 11's opener. As for the showrunner position, the BBC are indeed looking for a successor to Chibnall, who they want to come into effect in 2024 at the earliest. As I mentioned in my prior post, we want a series every year. Several big names have been approached, such as Jed Mercurio, Line of Duty and Bodyguard, but most of these have turned the offer down, wishing to focus on projects with less pressure on them than Doctor Who. Currently, several writers, both old and new, have been considered for the position. Granted, the BBC are not 100% certain who they want to hire. The current frontrunner would seem to be Pete McTeague, who Chibnall has been grooming for the position. However, he has never worked on a show as big as Doctor Who, which leaves the BBC to consider other names. Toby Whithouse for one. Oh, I'd love Toby Whithouse. Side note, I'd love Toby Whithouse to be the next showrunner. But many of his recent projects have not performed exceedingly well, ratings-wise. Peter Harness has also been considered, but his work on War of the Worlds has left the BBC uncertain as to his capabilities. One name has been bandied around. More recently has been Mike Bartlett, who has worked on the show once before as a writer on a Capaldi episode. His work is very well regarded within the BBC. He also has a very keen interest in the show. The only problem mentioned by some is the lukewarm reaction of the story of Who that he wrote, as well as him never having worked on a sci-fi show before. However, neither had Russell D. Davies, if I'm correct. There have been a few talks with him about the position, and he has even suggested the actor who he would like to cast in the role. That being his frequent collaborator, Adrian Lester. Oh my god, Davis would be happy, who would be the first Doctor of Colour at this time. Although I can't give a definitive answer on who will be the next showrunner, but rest assured, they won't be taking over till Series 16 as is. As for the suggestion that the next Doctor could be a male of colour, I would say that it is perhaps unlikely but not impossible. The BBC aren't keen on the optics of having the first female in the role being immediately followed by a male, but a male of colour would possibly not come across as the BBC backing down. However, all Chibnall's current choices for 414 are female. Jodie is still planning on leaving, so no change there. Therefore, if Bartlett did take over on the showrunner role, I would imagine that Lester would be the 15th Doctor. The series opener won't be a two-parter, but the finale kind of is. There won't be a specific festive special for this series, however it has been suggested that the second half of the finale episode could be broadcast on Christmas or New Year's, depending on how the schedules work. So it could work a bit like End of Time, where it's not necessarily a special, but it just happens to air on those days. What I mean by that is that it's not focused on Christmas necessarily, it's more just something that happens around that time. The Daleks won't be coming back, but don't be surprised if one makes a very brief appearance. I think this happened in one of Capaldi's series openers, as well as one of Matt Smith's series. They won't be the lead foe in any episodes, but Chibnall is likely to bring them back for series 14 or 15, as the BBC consider them to be beneficial to ratings, which makes sense. Finally, as said before, the BBC are currently planning for series 14 to debut in fall of 2022 to have a consistency to the show's broadcast, so the general audiences see it as a fixture in the schedules, like they do Call the Midwife or Death in Paradise, which have often been broadcast at the same time of year. Similarly, they are 8-episode series. The 60th year is intended to be a big one for the show, with a multi-Doctor story. The BBC want to capitalise on the anniversary as much as possible, due to it bringing back superb merchandise sales and much higher ratings for the 50th. Thank you for reading this, and if you have any further questions, don't be afraid to ask me in the comments. So there you go, that's this one, and again, it seems to start to be complying with things we've seen before. I think we're starting to get a bit more of a consistent idea of what Series 13 in the future is looking like going forward. I do think that one about Chibnall leaving is pretty much successfully debunked now, as basically every other rumour bar that one is not about that. But let me know what you guys think about this rumour, comment down below your thoughts, and subscribe if you're new. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Hello fans from the Wheelchair Gang, Tharries here, and welcome back to yet another one of these leak videos. They really need to call a plumber over at Reddit because the leaks are getting outrageous. Sorry, that was a terrible joke, but I felt like it was necessary. So just as we seem to be getting a more consistent sort of run of these leaks, it'll be interesting to see if this newest leak will conform to those ideas or whether it'll completely change them. But before we do get into today's leak, if you could just do me a teeny tiny little favour and click that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 10k by the end of the year, and if you like to keep up to date with the latest leaks, then this channel is the way to do it. Like, if you're not a big fan of reading these things, because some of them are quite long, which I totally get, then this is the next best option. Obviously, I'd say this with like all of these, they may not be true, and they're probably not going to be true, at least a lot of them, but I just enjoy talking about them. So don't take these literally, and there could be potential spoilers ahead. But with that in mind, let's get into the latest leak. I know you're probably all tired of these leaks, but I don't suppose there's any harm in dropping this here in that case. Take it or leave it, but please keep it civil. No confirmed release date for Series 13, but the aim is for mid-October. Episode 1, the first story, does not span multiple episodes. Okay, well that contradicts the last one. It's written like a Doctor Who film. It's very cinematic with lots of action, the world ending, and hopping to and from different time periods like a mini hour-long action film. Ends with a massive loss. John Bishop is great fun on set. He's given plenty of gags to bring out his more comedic side. The chemistry between him, Jodie and Mandip is infectious. They've blown everybody's socks off, and the cast and crew, who have worked so incredibly hard to make the show in such challenging circumstances, are very excited for everyone to see what's coming. Holby City actress Jo Martin has an interesting role to play in the set of episodes. Weird way to phrase that, seeing as she played the Doctor, but okay. The Weeping Angels are coming back, and the episode they appear in is a real tearjerker, do not miss it. Mid-season twist. Season is not made up of 7 or 8 regular episodes. I'm not sure what that one means. Jodie will be leaving at the end of this run of episodes. I don't know who she'll be replaced by, but I don't think anybody knows yet. Okay, well that is one thing they all seem to be agreeing on, is at the end of this series, she is leaving. I don't know if Chris Chibnall is indeed leaving. I hope not, because his work on Broadchurch is out of this world. That seems like a weird I hope not. Well, surely you should know. You're the one leaking things. Also, I hate this argument. This is a complete side tangent, but I hate this argument that we should all think Chibnall's great because his work on Broadchurch is good. If you're critiquing Doctor Who, it doesn't matter if his work on Broadchurch is good. If his Doctor Who isn't good, his Doctor Who isn't good. The Zygons are not in the new season, and neither is Catherine Tate or the Autons. I would lower your expectations. That seems to be complying with the previous ones, so that, at least, I think is true. I have no idea about anything else outside of the current run of stories. Maybe this is all bobbins, but I'll leave that up to you. So yeah, there's a bit of a shorter leak there, but I thought I'd just wrap up this one. At the time of recording this is the latest leak, but I'll let you know if there's any more going forward. Comment down below your thoughts on this leak and subscribe if you're new. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later.